This is a meditation on the three characteristics. The three characteristics are three ways of relating to our experience, three different ways of seeing our experience. Three ways that actually soften the suffering that you are experiencing in the moment. So, before we begin, let me just say a few words about these three characteristics. Anicca, Dukkha, and Anatta. And I want to offer these not just as concepts, not things for you to believe. Think of these as living ways of seeing, living ways of being in the world. And each of these ways help us on how to relate to our moment-to-moment experience. Because the truth is, these are not ideas that we apply intellectually and then hope to understand. Think of them as doorways that we walk through now, again, and again. Each time that we remember to look in these three different ways. These are three liberating ways of seeing. And they're liberating because they shift our relationship with the experience. Because so often our suffering is made worse, not by what is happening. Suffering arises because how we relate to what's happening. Because there is always, whether gross, large, or very, very subtle, there's always a push and a pull, a tightening, a bracing, a leaning forward, pulling away from the experience that we're having. We grasp at what is perceived as pleasant. We resist the unpleasant. We try to manage, control, or even freeze what's happening. But when we relate to our experience through these three ways of being, the whole pattern starts to soften. The heart can begin to open, even in the very midst of a difficult situation. Even before anything changes around us, the pressure inside starts to loosen. So this very first one is called Anicca, impermanence. Everything in your experience, sights, sounds, smells, taste, bodily sensations, and all of those mind activities, all of it is moving. Even stillness is trembling right at the very edges. Even stillness is changing, because when we really see this, not just think it, but actually feel it, it starts to create space. The grip of those unconscious programs begins to relax. They start to not hold on so tightly. And they start to not hold on so tightly. And there's a magic seeing this change clearly, because what you truly see as changing, you can't cling to, because that's not an act of will. It's not effort. It's just a natural consequence of seeing things as they really are. And the second way of seeing, the second way of being with our experience is dukkha. It's often translated as unsatisfactoriness, suffering. But here we're not trying to hold on to a belief that everything is suffering, because that's not the point. Instead, what we're tuning into is much, much more subtle. That when we try to fix, control, resist our experience, there is a tension that comes into the body from that. There's a strain. There's a stress. Think of it as a dis-ease. And you can actually feel this dis-ease in the body, in the breath, in the nervous system, in the heart. Dukkha isn't just something that happens to us. Dukkha is something that we participate in. And that's good news, because that means when we meet our experience, we can feel the dukkha lessen, not someday, but right now in the moment. And the third characteristic, the third way of seeing, the third way of relating to our experience is anatta, not self. Again, we're not trying to believe something here. This is about noticing very simply. Notice very simply that all of your experience, everything, is just happening. The breath breathes itself. Sounds just arise. Sensations arise. Thoughts just appear. Memories just appear. Emotions just appear. Sometimes wise thoughts, other times ridiculous ones. So just listen, and then they just disappear. When you see that these experiences don't belong to us, when you see that they're not me or mine, you start to unhook from them. They start to let go of you. There begins to arise a lightening, a lessening of the weight. Think of it. Right? Think of this as the unburdening of selfing. Just a little. As my teacher once said, it's not that there isn't a self. It's that when we look closely, we see that the experience of self is dependently arising. It comes and it goes. And when we loosen our sense of ownership, of the experience, a different kind of freedom comes in. So these three ways of seeing, impermanence, anicca, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, and anatta, not self, these are not dogmas. They're gentle, powerful perspectives that we can bring into our practice. Not to bypass our experience, but to open to our experience. They're ways of looking that reduce the push and pull in the heart, and they bring us less grasping, less resistance. And when this happens, we can begin to taste what freedom feels like. A quiet, living freedom. Not far away, not in the future, but right here, right now. Right now. So let's move into this meditation. I invite you to feel your ways into these three ways of being. Not as concepts, but as living truth. Ways of relating that soften suffering in real time. So let your seeing be gentle. Let your curiosity be a practice of allowing. So let's begin. Allow yourself to arrive. Just notice your posture in a way that is balanced, not tight, not too loose. Let the body reflect the inner quality. Alert, awake, but also soft, open, relaxed. Feel that posture, feel that balance. Allow that posture to express a balance of the heart also. A posture that there's a willingness to just meet whatever arises. Gently begin gathering your attention, your awareness. You don't need to focus hard or tighten around anything. Just a gentle collecting. Allowing the mind to settle toward the body, toward the breath, toward the heart. Whatever feels most natural right now, whether it's the breath, maybe it's a feeling of loving kindness, or maybe just an open receptivity. You're simply allowing awareness to become more unified, more steady. To begin resting in presence. bring your attention into the hands. Invite the hands to become the center of your attention. Feel what's alive in the hands. Sensation in the fingers, the palms, maybe warmth or coolness, tingling, pulsing. There's no need to describe, just receive the experience. And begin to notice how those sensations in the hands shift. They change. This is anicca, impermanence. It's not an idea, not something to believe. It's something to experience, to see. Notice how the sensations, they're not fixed. They move, they flicker, they pulse, they change. Stay here, gently tuning into impermanence, the truth of change. You're not forcing yourself to let go. You're not forcing yourself to let go. Letting go will happen all on its own when you truly see, when you see the movement, noticing change, change, change. Now, gently shift your awareness up into the center of your chest, your heart center. The sternum, the chest, the belly, the back. Just notice what's there. Allow the sensations in the center of the chest, the heart center, to be met with soft, curious attention. Again, feel your way into their impermanence. Be curious about how those sensations arise and fall. how they grow, fade, move, and settle. They might change in intensity. They might change in location, change in quality. Invite yourself to tune in to that dance, that flux of experience. Flicker, flicker, move, dance, arise, pass away, shift, change. And notice, can the mindfulness be relaxed? You're not trying to force the mind to see too quickly. You're simply receiving what appears. You're not aiming for any particular experience. You're not wanting any type of change. You're just tuning in to the change that's naturally here. Just this movement. Just this truth. It's just a whisper of impermanence, Anicca. Now, allow your awareness to move freely to any other part of the body. Any place where there might be sensation that is alive, interesting, different, maybe even mildly unpleasant. Maybe it's a tightness, a tingling, a pressure. Wherever it is, allow your awareness to land. Notice the textures. And then again, begin to sense the movement, the change. Be curious and notice how nothing ever stays exactly the same. And this is the same invitation. Can you see what's moving? Can you receive it gently? Let it be known. Allow it to be changing. be aware of the change, but don't interfere with the change. Now, open awareness, suffuse the awareness out so it includes the entire body. The more global sense of sensation. Allow the body to be known as a field, a wide landscape of energy. And within this whole field, notice what comes and goes. Notice what shifts, what flickers. Allow your awareness to rest not on the content, but on the movement. Impermanence rolling through the entire body. The body made of change. Now, without losing connection to the body, open your field of awareness to include sound. Just listen. Receive sound, not reaching for sound. Inviting sound to wash over you and in you. You're not identifying the source. No labeling, just tuning into sound as movement. Notice the arising, dissolving, the dance. This too is impermanent. This too is just happening. Let it come and let it be. And be curious what happens in the body when we just allow change to be. What happens to the heart when there's no push and pull? Be curious about what happens with the heart when we don't resist what's unpleasant. Be curious about what happens with the heart when we don't grab onto and cling to what's pleasant. So let's explore this. This is Dukkha. Notice the strain that arises when we relate with aversion. And notice the release that comes when that tightness, when that aversion softens. Now gently imagine looking down at your right hand and begin to move the right hand slowly. Just move it very slowly. Notice the change. Notice any change. Form moving. Even if your eyes closed or eyes open, you always have a visual field. That mind's eye is also always impermanent. Allow this moment through the vision consciousness to not be owned. Now, move your awareness back into the entire body. Allow awareness to just receive the changing body, the entire river of sensations coming and going. Just life moving through. Now, rest your mind's eye directly in front of you, either eyes open or closed. Visualize what's in front of you in your field of vision. And just receive it. And feel what it's like from within you, this truth within you. Just to receive what it is you're experiencing. And notice how awareness can focus tightly on a single point, or how awareness can open wide and receive the whole field. Both are valid. Both help us to see clearly. Now, rest back into the whole body again. Allowing sensations to come and go. And notice how some sensations may feel pleasant, how some feel unpleasant. Notice how some are neutral. Just allow it all to be held. Now, fill your whole body with awareness once again, and really take a moment to check. Is there any place of resistance? Is there any place where the mind or body is contracting around an unpleasant experience? Is there any place where the mind and body is clinging to or snatching onto what feels pleasant? We might notice in the belly, the shoulders, the jaw, the forehead, the chest, the stomach. Just notice where the body and mind grip and tighten. This is that subtle place of dukkha. And this is the same place of freedom. Now ask yourself, can I soften the clinging? Can I soften any place where there's wanting what's pleasant? Can I soften any place where there is not wanting what's unpleasant? What would it feel like? Be curious. What would it feel like if I just simply allowed this experience that I'm having, just right now, completely? What does it feel like in the body when I don't want this experience to be any different than it is? Invite yourself to gently relax the relationship with the present moment again, again, and again. Not fixing, just welcoming and releasing. Notice how the heart responds to this shift in our relationship with experience. Notice what happens in the heart when wanting and not wanting softens. Notice what happens in your experience when your experience is just simply allowed. This is a path of letting be. Not letting go. Not letting go, letting be. This is a path of letting be, not by letting go, but by letting in. The quiet freedom can emerge, arise within us. Now shift gently again. See if it's possible to notice these sensations in the body. Are they happening on their own? Are they just arising, staying, passing? Or do you need to make them happen? Or do they just happen? This is the doorway to freedom through Anatta, not self. These experiences, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, bodily, all of the countless bodily sensations and mind objects, they're not you, they're not yours. They don't belong to a self. They're simply floating in awareness, like leaves on a gentle water. They're just happening. Invite yourself to just rest in this scene. Allow this to be light and soft and free. Sounds just happening, not me or mine. Now, if you can, invite in a thought, a gentle thought. Just invite it in. A thought arises. Can you notice that thought as just another phenomenon, like a sound, a sight? It simply arises and vanishes. It's not self, it's not yours. No need to resist it. No need to believe it. Or maybe it's an emotion. It's just an emotion. Just appearing and disappearing. They're like wind through a chime. Now, maybe drop your awareness into the body. Notice the sensations in the center of the body, in the heart center. And just feel. All of this is just happening, no different than the wind chimes. Not controlled, not owned, not self. Just arising in the space of awareness. And now, notice the sounds, the birds. Who hears? Who is hearing? No answers needed, just feel the mystery. And then rest again with the awareness and the fullness of the entire body. This entire body is a field of impermanence, a field of dukkha. This entire field of not self, all of it just unfolding. Allow yourself to just rest here. There's nothing that you need to do, no identity you need to take on. Just invite it all to just be. Allow it to pass. Let it all float. And maybe feel what it's like when the heart relaxes. Feel what it feels like when the mind stops resisting. And when the mind stops insisting that it's all me or mine. When the mind stops insisting that things be different than they are, feel the freedom in that. Feel the peace. Feel the inner ease, the inner peace. And just allow your entire body to bathe in that peace.